Knowing that I was the last bus driver or the last person to see her get off the bus and go into the school to her demise was really heavy heart for me. I was really traumatized and was for quite a long time.
It caused a lot of anxiety, just even to be, at home and then having to go into Sandy Hook that day. It was overwhelming. I'm sure I was in shock and really in disbelief like most people. And until I was on the highway and just saw the crowd of people and the exit was closed, and that's when I really lost it and knew that it was true.
You think things like that happen anywhere else in the world, but not in the town next door.
We had 6 students lose siblings, and 15 of our faculty teachers had taught previously at Sandy Hook School, some as recently as the previous June.
I think the magnitude of what we had to do really started to come to our surface.
Dealing with his PTSD on a daily basis, knowing that it wasn't my fault. I'm gonna cry. Sorry.
They were noticing. They were noticing more than me. I didn't notice.
He just wasn't present, and you would talk to him and he wouldn't even respond. Short-tempered to every question sometimes that was asked, and just wasn't him, because he was always happy-go-lucky, always made everybody smile, and that wasn't there anymore. It was gone, and that was hard. Seeing the pain on his face when he would come home every day from doing the work that he did.
We're trained to handle whatever comes our way, and then, especially being a man, and move on from there.
That was the hardest, because I knew he was feeling it, but he couldn't show it. He stopped even coming home at night, because when he came home, he didn't know what to do when he got there, so he just stayed at work and worked. So there was a complete disconnect of everything.
The frustration, again, comes out as anger and being short with people and intolerant and impatient. Those are signs of post-traumatic, and we need to deal with these. And it's not going to go away in time, because then these become habits.
We all think that we can handle it. I mean, especially in industries, that our first responders, they teach you to disassociate yourself.
I needed to reach out and get help for him, because I could no longer follow him around. And that's what I was doing every day, every hour of the day, just following him, making sure he was okay, and I wasn't living.
People were just looking anywhere for help. And so they were going to a lot of different counselors, they were going to different places and trying different things and listening to each other. The long-lasting effects of post-traumatic stress are awful.
Any healing in Newtown is critical. There is a limited amount of money. We know that this community has seen a lot of generosity worldwide from people who reached out and wanted to help, but that has slowed down. There are other tragedies, there's other things to be concerned about around the world, and we will not see the likes of what we saw in the last 2 years in terms of funding.
Actually, I think many people are starting to suffer from what we call trauma fatigue. They're tired of hearing about it, they're tired of talking about it, but mostly they're tired of being symptomatic and not getting relief.
When I am paying out $20,000+ a week for out-of-pocket mental health costs for folks, that's not sustainable. Most of our funding partners have already gone through all the money that they had. We are one of the few remaining that has a substantial amount of money still left, and we know that the impact that these families and children and teachers and first responders will be years and years to come. We're at the start of a marathon, and I think so many people think that it's wrapped up or people are moving on when it's really just beginning. What we're really hearing now is that the fog is just starting to finally lift. So it's actually just the start of feeling the tremendous pain and loss and grief and guilt and suffering that will be felt for years and years to come.
My girlfriend was suffering PTSD from Afghanistan. and she saw what we were going through at home, and she has suggested tapping. So I looked it up and I started tapping.
As much as people want to change, I know it's very difficult to change because we all go back to our old habits, even if we change a little bit. But to see somebody, just watch her change who she is now and what she, after everything she went through, was pretty amazing. And I think that's what gave me the strength to say, well, I've never seen anybody change this much, so something must be working for her, and you know, maybe it will work for me.
Well, at first he didn't get it. You know, he was very apprehensive. He didn't understand what all the tapping, the points, and what it would do. But after his first session with Lori, I saw a change. He seemed a little more, it seemed like a release. And now he's just this completely different person. And it's wonderful. And I can't thank God enough for what happened. He's just, he's the guy I met when he was 18. Again, and it's great.
Having a balance and being calm within your heart and within your soul, you know, I guess that's what most people long for and most people search for.
I kind of was stifled when I first came in. It was kind of like internal. I didn't want to get it out. But tapping has been able to help me get it out. And now I can talk to other people about it. And I think that might be where a lot of people that are in traumatic situations, even in Newtown, they just don't know how to get it out.
What I get is, we've been in therapy for a year, and what you've done in 6 weeks has brought us so much further than a year of therapy. So there's been a lot of healing through the tapping that I've witnessed and I've been part of.
Trauma itself, post-traumatic stress, can be healed in 8 to 10 sessions. People can go to traditional psychotherapy for years and not get relief.
You look at it, it just seems too easy. You do have to understand the brain chemistry. You have to understand what happens with trauma. You're changing the way the brain is storing the trauma memory, the trauma capsule.
Well, in our distribution committee, when first deciding, you know, when looking at all the grant proposals, there were some that were completely unfamiliar with the technique. And one immediately said, I've never heard this, I'm in the medical field, what is this? Can we just cross this one off the list? Do we have to even talk about this? And immediately 3 of our distribution committee members said, wait, you know, we know this, it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, it changed my life, it changed my child's life, or I had a neighbor who was struggling. There's a calling to the mental health community and the community at large to really think outside the box, open your mind to other possibilities, and if it's, you know, if there are people saying it's working, then there's something to it. If it's someone who's finding relief, then it's worth looking into further.
As a trauma survivor, I didn't know that the symptoms could really be alleviated permanently. I didn't believe that to be true. I now believe that that's true, and I think it's true because of tapping.
From both a clinical perspective as well as a funding perspective, what appeals to me is the sustainability of this technique. The impact is so far-reaching that to have a tool that individuals can use once they know it, once they've learned it, once they've experienced it in a therapeutic setting, to have that in their back pocket to use whenever they need is pretty remarkable. And there are very few techniques that I know of where that can be done, where you don't have to make an appointment and see a therapist or take a medication, that you have control, you can use your own wonderful, amazing healing body to provide relief.
I feel like I have a really good clinical toolbox to use as a trauma specialist, but this is different. This is so much more efficient and gets to the core issue so quickly. That it continues to amaze me.
All the talk therapy, all the techniques I know, there were all kinds of things that I could not release with what I knew. And I came to a place of true release and understanding and forgiveness and personal peace that I had not come to with any other method. And I was astounded beyond belief at the release. When we are in the grip of an uncomfortable emotion, pain, heartache, anger, fear, fear of the unknown, fear for our safety, that's all bound up in the body. And what EFT does for me is it releases those sensations from my body in a way that I'm in a calmer and more peaceful place. I'm not bound up with the emotion in such a way that I'm a prisoner to it. And I can be fully present to what's going on right now in life. Because when you're present and you're aware, there are all these possibilities and all these things that you notice that when you're bound up in an emotion that you don't notice.
Particularly in Newtown, where there is still such deep suffering, we have an obligation to bring forth what is going to be most healing for this community. And I feel that this is one of those ways.
To know that you're not alone with your pain and suffering, I think we all want that. And Einstein, Albert Einstein, the physicist, he said it's an illusion that we believe that we are alone in the world. It's just an illusion to believe that we're alone, and it is an illusion to believe that we're alone with our own suffering. There's always someone out there who can be of help to you, who can support you, who can care for you, and walk with you to those places that are hard to look at.
You guys reached out to me when I had no one. And I don't know what to say, except thank you. I appreciate it all. You changed our lives, and it's perfect. I don't know what else to say. Thank you.